What if I told you that 75% of people who have heart attacks actually have normal cholesterol? Because the real enemy in heart disease isn't just cholesterol, but inflammation.
This is a real result coming out of UCLA, where researchers analyzed approximately 137 patients hospitalized for a heart attack nationwide between 2000 and 2006. And they found that approximately 75% of them had LDL levels less than 130 milligrams per deciliter, putting them in the average LDL category. People are using this information as evidence that LDL is not a causative factor for cardiovascular complications. However, the most important statement in this paragraph is these are patients hospitalized for a heart attack. LDL is considered a negative acute phase reactant, meaning in the face of inflammation or some sort of cardiovascular event, LDL cholesterol decreases. And this study indicates that in the 24 to 48 hours after a cardiovascular event, total cholesterol and LDL levels decrease. And since this measurement was taken after these patients were admitted into the hospital for a heart attack, we have absolutely no idea where their LDL levels were before having the cardiovascular event. There are two other very important factors that may be contributing to these findings. The first is that it isn't just your LDL cholesterol today that modifies your risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. What I mean by this is the accumulation of plaque is a lifelong process, which means the more years that our LDL cholesterol is elevated, the greater our risk of plaque development and cardiovascular complications, and this is referred to as cholesterol years. Meaning, if from year 20 to year 50, your LDL cholesterol levels were very high, but between year 10 and year 60, your LDL cholesterol levels were lowered, using cholesterol-lowering medications, you still have elevated risks from the years 20 to 50 that your LDL cholesterol was elevated. For example, we know that long-term exposure to high LDL-C increases the risk of cardiovascular disease by approximately 5-fold. And those who are born with an abnormally low level of LDL have a very marked reduction in the risk of any sort of cardiovascular complication than their counterparts of similar age, weight, sex, and smoking status. The last explanation for this finding is LDL cholesterol follows what is referred to as a normative distribution curve. That is, a large portion of the population has what is considered normal cholesterol, and there's only a very small portion of the population that has abnormally high and abnormally low cholesterol. For example, if you take 1,000 people and 95% of them have normal cholesterol, if only 10% of them develop cardiovascular risk, that's a sum of 95 people. And if 25 of those 1,000 people have abnormally elevated cholesterol, and 100% of them develop cardiovascular disease, that's still only 25 people, making about 75% of people who develop cardiovascular disease having normal cholesterol, but the absolute risk of cardiovascular disease was much higher in the group with higher cholesterol levels. Therefore, this study does not tell us the lifelong cholesterol levels of these individuals. It does not tell us where their LDL levels were prior to the cardiovascular event, nor does it tell us the absolute risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because if the population of people who have high cholesterol is such an unproportionally small amount of the population, even if every single one of them developed cardiovascular disease, there would still be far more people with normal cholesterol developing cardiovascular disease despite a lower absolute risk.